Barnstable this morning. I'm Sarah Colvin, and joining me live in studio, Assistant Town Manager Mark Ells. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Sarah. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. And yourself?
Great.
Nice to have you back in studio. So a number of things to talk about. Why don't we start, let's talk about the shooting range a little bit, because I know that it's still a long way to go, still a lot of kind of things up in the air. So where are we in terms of dealing with that issue?
Well, at our last town council meeting, we briefed the town council on what we thought were the areas of information that they needed to be able to make an informed decision. And it started with stepping back and communicating again with Conservation Commission, then talking with Division of Conservation Services at the state, and then proceeding. A third area was to proceed with looking at installing deeper wells to make sure that nothing from that site has migrated into the water in the area, and therefore opening up other issues that may exist out there. And we've done all three of those. So we met with the chair and the former chair of Conservation, visited the issues that were identified in the initial site assessment out there at the facility, which basically delineated the area that we need to manage lead in, the historic, shooting that occurred and where the lead exists in and around the shooting range site. They were familiar with it already, of course, and kind of recommitted to partnering with us as we moved forward, because quite honestly, part of it is they have to, and part of it is it just makes sense to, because it's on conservation lands and still is on conservation lands. Spoke with Division of Conservation Services Director Bob O'Connor, and once again they pretty much have that same information, have taken the same approach, that they want to sit down with us. We had a little bit of a discussion about whether the area, the 16.3 acres that we initially identified, should expand, and the discussion really reverted back to the same one we had a year and a half ago, which is they want to see us minimize the size of the site because they want to see a minimal amount of conservation area transformed over to something other than conservation. And he was going to take back the information that we provided him and talk with his agency and other agencies that would get involved and determine how exactly they wanted to see this happen. Whether it would remain conservation land and we just have an area of management outside of where the physical range is, or whether they wanted to actually see that property converted. There were also some regulatory reviews that had occurred in a MEPA filing, and which is a Massachusetts Environmental Protection Act. So he is revisiting what needs to be done relevant to that, if anything needs to be done, or does the current determination still stand? And then we've teamed up with the Cape Cod Commission. Tom Cambereri's their hydrologist. We need to site wells and put them in just to make sure nothing's moving off the site, and we are in the process of doing that. So we've accomplished all of those things. A couple of the others are longer term, looking at fee structures, looking at the types of services, and better understanding how it will be operated going forward, meaning what department it'll fall under. So, and we're discussing those, but those are less recent, or we don't need that information immediately to be able to continue the discussion.
And was Town Council still planning on holding a workshop, or has that already come and gone?
The workshop that they had hoped to hold, they have put to some point in the future. And they'd like to come to some conclusions on these issues as soon as good information is available to them, hopefully this fall.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, Mark, let's talk a little bit about e-permitting, because I know this is something that you've been working on and getting everything in place and ready to go. Where are we in terms of
progressing on schedule? They've been in there and they've been creating. They use IT terms, so my understanding is general of where they are, but basically they're converting information whether and they're inputting that information, whether it be fees associated with permits, whether it be base information from Munis or from assessing or from other general databases that we have. Some of our databases were in different forms. Some written and some in different sorts of spreadsheets. So they've come in, they've worked with our staff to look at all of that so they can compile it and put it into the system. So they're progressing. I expect that we'll be before Town Council giving them an update this fall, if not in September and October. I expect to be staff working with this by probably November.
Great.
And we were shooting to see if we could get it available by the 1st of next year, and we're still on track to do that. But sometimes things come up. Some of our training got delayed because of this winter, and it's just, I think though in general we're on track for this one.
Great, and that will, for those who may not have been following this, that'll allow people to get building permits online, dog licenses online, that
Yes.
sort of thing, correct?
Yes, it'll be a progressive thing too. You'll see building focused on first, but there is a whole list of different applications for this. So and our contract with this consultant doesn't end with building. It's open to all of those applications, and
Great.
so we can continue to grow this into a system where we meet all the needs of our residents and our businesses.
Fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about the budget. It always amazes me, so much work is put in, the budget is done, it's put to bed, the fiscal year begins, and then almost as soon as the new fiscal year begins, do you start planning for the next one?
I think it starts before
Yeah.
the year. We're always looking at things in 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year. 10 year, obviously, the longest projection. I think the thing that Town Manager Lynch and I have tried to do with the most recent budgets that we've been managing is getting the discussion on operations going as early as possible. The CIP is really a 5-year look at what we need. It's actually, again, goes out to 10. We pretty much know what's in the queue, and from a priority standpoint where it needs to fall. It's really the operating budget that we need to sit down and evaluate. I mean, we're at $170 million a year. And certainly the portions of it that fall under us, it's probably a third of that fall directly under municipal management that goes under review. This year we're adding another little feature to it where we're going to actually have the department heads in now, we've already started, and talk with them about changes, not necessarily changes to increase, changes in general that will make them be able to deliver the programs and the services they deliver more cost effectively. And we always do that every year, but this year we're having a more active discussion and workshop with each department. So it's a good thing. We can hear much earlier what challenges they have, what fees may need to change, and if those fees change, can the customer still be able to afford that, or will they support that change? So it's a good healthy discussion, and I think we started 2 weeks ago. So.
Great.
Yeah.
And the conversation will continue. Of course, this is Centerville Old Home Week.
It
and
is.
You will be the guest at the Centerville Civic Association on Tuesday. That should be fun. Tell me a little bit about...
I think it's because they have the shortest walking distance.
That's
why
right.
they asked me. Yeah.
Exactly, Centerville resident yourself. You can just pop right over there. So tell me a little bit about what you're going to be talking to the Civic Association about.
Oh, we'll be talking
Tuesday.
about, town-wide, I'll talk about the budget, capital budget. Within the capital budget, we'll talk about, things like Craigville Beach bathhouse renovations, which are in the works, and I expect Public Works will be doing, over the winter. And I'll talk about the improvements that have been made to the community center. I'm sure that issues related to access to the public beach will come up, so I'll be able to brief them on where those types of issues are. They may bring up issues on parking or the shooting range. So those are the sorts of things that different residents have mentioned to me. And then whatever they would like to hear about, I'm there to try to either answer their questions or bring their questions back here and get them answered in the future. So
Wonderful. And I believe that evening includes strawberry shortcake and Four Seasons.
it does, so probably more family members than just I will go.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Well, Mark, thank you so much as always for joining us here on Barnstable this morning, and hopefully we'll get to have you on again sometime soon.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Mark Ells, of course, is our Assistant Town Manager here in Barnstable. Our